Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to ask about the conditions upon which these children are being brought up here by the smugglers. As I understand it, there are girls who are being raped, as I understand it, and boys too, children being abused. What are the conditions upon which, we've talked a lot about the conditions in the countries and how bad they are, but what are these children being subjected to, and how much are they subjected to these criminal syndicates who are making money off this and are exploiting these children, and what are we talking about is happening to these children?
Senator, a couple things that I think are important. One is that almost all of the children that are being brought into the country are being brought through smuggling organizations. Oftentimes the smugglers are juveniles themselves. This is a money profit issue. It's often controlled overhead by cartels. There are two modes of transportation that we see right now. One, of course, has been cited as the train that comes up and people taking that dangerous journey on the train, but also a large number of charter buses, mom and pop charter buses driving up here. Then the children or the people are held in what are called stash houses on the Mexican side of the border until they can come. The dangers of abuse, including just recently the body of an 11-year-old boy found in Texas, are enormous. So
a dead little boy, as I understand it, children being raped, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And exploited. And so one of the things that concerns me is that we're sending a dual message. So we're sending a message. They've gotten an impression in those countries that if you send your child on that journey, that yes, you're leaving, obviously, the conditions that we want to work more effectively to improve in those countries, but they're going on this deadly journey in some instances, or just a journey that can change who they are for the rest of their lives, because we've said they're getting an impression in their countries that once they get here, they can stay. And so what concerns me is that our policies that we're sending this message that they can stay is also inhumane in the sense that these children are being put on this deadly journey. So if you could comment on that in terms of how important it is that people understand from those countries a clear message from the United States of America not to send your child on this journey because of what's happening to your child, but also if they got the message that we're going to follow our laws and they won't be able to stay as humane as we all want to be, it's inhumane to send them on this journey.
Senator, if Senator Coburn wouldn't mind if we could also show the poster. It's an example of one of the posters.
Yeah, please do.
That are going up all over in Central America. They're going up in bus placards, they're and overheads on highways. This essentially says, I thought my son would be able to get his papers in the United States, in the USA. That wasn't true. There are other posters, there are radio spots, there are television spots being broadcast. And these three countries, by the way, working with their embassies, are also very supportive and doing their own messaging. Two parts. It's dangerous to try and make this journey, and you will not be given a free pass.
Well, I appreciate that we're doing this public information campaign, but our leaders need to be clear. And I saw that Secretary Johnson on the Sunday shows was pressed no less than 6 times if these minors, if they came here through this deadly journey, whether they would be returned to their countries, and he would not answer that question. And so, in addition to that, the White House press secretary was asked that very same question about the ambiguity in which these children would be treated, and he said that the law will be applied, but he wouldn't answer the question. So it's one thing for us to put up a public information campaign, but if the leaders of our country and the leaders in these positions aren't clear as to what our intention is and that we intend to follow our law. And if we have a system where only, as Senator McCain asked, only 1 out of 10 actually are going to show up for the proceeding and actually go through the process, then we're talking out of both sides of our mouths, and we're doing a disservice to these children because we're sending this message to parents that, yes, please take this risk, send them on the deadly journey, and when they get here, they really will be permitted to stay, which is contradictory to these messages. So I think we need to speak clearly with one voice, and I would ask you to comment on that.
But would the Senator yield for a second? The number one message to stop this is planes arriving in Honduras and Guatemala with these children back home. That sends the message. This, as long as it's less than 10%, won't stop anything. When they see them returning after making this harrowing trip, that's when they're going to get the message. And until that happens, it's going to continue.
Well, as a follow-up, I would ask, you know, our law, as I understand it, one of the issues is the legal treatment is different between, for example, Mexican, Canadian, those children that would come, and the population we're talking about from El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. And I guess I'm not clear why we should make that distinction, in the sense that the one set of children, both set of children, as we think about it, could be as vulnerable to trafficking. So do you think that this distinction in our law should continue to exist? This one that is making it more difficult for you to give the option of returning these children more quickly as soon as they return. I know we've talked about it a lot at this hearing, but what's your position on it?
Senator, I know the law was, from 2008, was passed with all of the emphasis to prevent these children from being trafficked, particularly sex trafficked.
Well, now they're being trafficked.
And others. I think that what we're interested in is certainly the flexibility. I think it has to be carefully considered because of the reasons that Congress went to such trouble to spend that time and effort passing that original law. But from our standpoint, from the Customs and Border Protection standpoint, the ability to have some flexibility would be very helpful.
Okay, thank you.